I said I'm sorry. What more do you want from me?
I don't want anything from you, Emeka. That is the problem. I have stopped wanting anything from you.
What does that mean?
It means I cooked that food at 6 o'clock. I waited until 11. And you couldn't even call working.
I was working.
But you laugh at that office. You joke at that office. You're alive at that office. You can come home and you are a ghost. And I'm tired, Emeka. I'm so tired of sleeping next to a ghost.
If you've been with us since part 1, welcome back. When we left Emeka and Adaeze, they were sitting in their kitchen in East London on a morning that felt like either a beginning or an ending. A man who had nearly let his marriage slip through his fingers because he was too proud to be vulnerable. A woman who had been slowly building a wall around her heart to protect herself from a man she still loved deeply. They were crying at a kitchen table at 7 a.m. over eggs and bad instant coffee. And somehow, that was the most hopeful thing they had done in months. This is part 2. This is the part where we find out if love is enough, if people can change, if a marriage that has been cracked can be made whole again. Spoiler alert, it can. But it is not easy, and it requires both of them to do things they have never done before. The morning after the breakfast conversation, Emeka did something that took more courage than anything he had done in his career. He told Adaeze about Claire. Not because anything had happened, but because almost is still a truth. And he had decided, sitting in that car park in the dark, that he was done keeping things from his wife. He told her everything. The friendship, the coffees, the way he had looked forward to seeing her, the moment in the office, the choice he made, the car park, the crying. Adaeze listened without interrupting. Her face went through about 15 different emotions: hurt, anger, disbelief. And then, slowly, something else. She said, "You're telling me this because nothing happened. I'm telling you because I want us to have a marriage where I can tell you things, even the ugly things, especially the ugly things." She was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "I also have things to tell you." And she did. She told him about the wall she had been building, about how Sandra and her friends had been slowly feeding her a version of marriage that was about individual power rather than partnership, about how she had started planning, in the back of her mind, a life that didn't include him, not because she wanted one, but because she was so scared of being hurt that she was preemptively building an escape route. She told him about the afternoon she had looked at divorce lawyers' websites. She hadn't called anyone. She hadn't taken any real steps. But she had looked, and the fact that she had looked told her something about where she was. When she finished, they sat in silence, and then Emeka said, "Thank you for telling me that." She looked at him. "You're not angry?" "I'm scared," he said, "but I'd rather be scared and honest than calm and lying to each other." That, right there, was the moment their marriage began to turn around. Not a grand gesture, not a holiday, not flowers, just two people telling each other the truth and choosing not to run from it. 3 weeks after that conversation, they went to couples therapy. This was not an easy decision, because in Nigerian culture, even among educated, progressive Nigerians, therapy carries a weight, a whisper of weakness, of airing your business, of something being fundamentally wrong with you. Emeka had to battle everything he had been raised to believe about strength and privacy to walk into that office. Adaeze had to battle the voice in her head that said, if you need a stranger to help your marriage, maybe it was never strong to begin with. But they went. Their therapist was a Jamaican-British woman named Dr. Patricia Martin. She had been counseling couples for 20 years, and she had heard almost everything. She was direct but warm. She had no interest in taking sides. What she was interested in was helping them understand each other. The first session was mostly them talking, telling their story, where they came from, how they met, what they wanted. By the end of the first session, Dr. Martin said something that stayed with both of them. She said, "You are two people who clearly love each other very much, who have both been trying very hard, but in directions that aren't towards each other. The work we're going to do here is about changing the direction." Changing the direction. That phrase became their shorthand for the whole process. Whenever one of them defaulted to old patterns, Emeka withdrawing, Adaeze building the wall, the other would say quietly, "Change the direction." It was a small phrase, but it held a big promise. Therapy has a way of taking you places you didn't expect to go. For Emeka, it went back to his father, a man he loved and respected enormously, a provider, a hard worker, a man who built their family house with his own money and never asked for praise, but also a man who was never home, who missed school plays and birthdays and Sunday dinners because there was always work, who expressed love through provision and not much else, who believed that a man's job was to give his family everything they needed, except, perhaps, himself. Emeka had become his father, without ever deciding to. Dr. Martin helped him see that he had been taught through watching his father, that love is demonstrated through achievement, that if he worked hard enough, provided enough, succeeded enough, he was being a good husband. Nobody had ever taught him to be present, to ask, to listen, to simply sit with his wife and let her know she was the most important thing in the room. The session where he realized this, he didn't speak for a long time. He just sat there, processing the weight of something he had been carrying without even knowing it had a name. For Adaeze, it went back to her mother, a woman who had stayed in a marriage that was not entirely happy because that is what you did. A woman who had taught her daughter, through example, that a woman absorbs pain quietly, that she does not rock the boat, that she keeps the home and keeps the peace and keeps her feelings to herself. Adaeze had been doing exactly that, absorbing quietly, building the wall, never saying, "This is hurting me," until the hurt was too much and came out as distance. She had never learned to ask for what she needed. She had only ever learned to give. And when the giving was not returned, she didn't know how to say, "I need something too." She only knew how to disappear. These were not fun realizations. They were not comfortable, but they were necessary, because you cannot change what you do not understand, and you cannot heal what you refuse to look at. One evening after their 5th therapy session, they had a long conversation at home about something Dr. Martin had raised, the influence of their new environment on their marriage. She had asked them, "What values did you bring from home? And which ones have you replaced without realizing it?" It was a question they had been thinking about all week. Emeka said, "I think I replaced patience with productivity. Back home, I knew how to slow down. Here, everything is about efficiency, output, results. I brought that energy into our home, and I treated our marriage like a project to manage, not a relationship to nurture." Adaeze said, "I think I replaced loyalty with self-preservation. Back home, you stayed, you worked it out, you called your mother and she helped you see it differently. Here, everyone talks about walking away, about not settling, about your worth, and those things aren't wrong, but they became my first option, not my last one." They sat with that for a while. Then Emeka said, "I don't want us to go back to what Nigerian culture says about marriage either, because some of that, the silence, the suffering, the man is always right. That's not right either." "No," Adaeze agreed. "So what are we keeping? And what are we leaving behind?" It was a question worth asking, because navigating life abroad is not about choosing between two cultures. It is about doing the harder work of building your own culture. A culture specific to your marriage, your values, who you want to be as a couple. They decided what they were keeping: commitment, community, the belief that marriage is worth fighting for, the joy of a shared meal, the warmth of family, faith. They decided what they were leaving behind: silence as a form of endurance, the idea that a good wife never has needs, the idea that a man who provides has done his full job, the shame around seeking help. It was not a perfect list. It would be revised many times, but it was theirs. If this story is touching you already, take a second and hit the like button. And if you've ever seen something like this in real life, subscribe, because these stories, they are closer to reality than you think. Now, let's continue. Rebuilding a marriage does not look like a movie. There is no one grand moment where everything is fixed. No speech in the rain, no airport reunion, just in small things, done consistently, with intention. Emeka started coming home on time. Not every day, life is not always cooperative, but deliberately, consistently. And on the days he couldn't, he called, he communicated, he didn't just assume she would understand. Adaeze started saying what she needed, out loud, in words. "Emeka, I need you to be present this weekend. Emeka, I need to feel like I matter to you today." It was uncomfortable at first. It felt like asking for too much, but it was the only way he could give her what she needed. He was not a mind reader. No man is. They started having a weekly dinner, just the two of them. No phones on the table, no TV. Just conversation. Some weeks it was awkward. Some weeks one of them was too tired to be fully present. But they showed up for it every week. Emeka joined a men's accountability group, a group of Nigerian men in London who met monthly to check in on each other. Not to complain about their wives, to challenge each other to be better. Emeka had been skeptical. By the third meeting, he was the one showing up early. Adaeze had a harder conversation with Sandra. She told her, "I love you, and you have helped me in ways I can't even explain. But some of the things you say about men, about marriage, they were making me see Emeka through a lens that wasn't fair to him. And I'm asking you to be more careful with me, because I am choosing my marriage." Sandra was quiet, and then she said, "You know what? Good for you. I needed to hear that too. Good friendships survive honesty. The ones that can't were not as good as they seemed." 6 months after that breakfast conversation, they had a night that Adaeze still talks about when people ask her how they made it through. It was an ordinary Saturday. They had cooked together a full pot of egusi soup and semovita that took 2 hours and produced a lot of mess and even more laughter. They ate at the table by the window while the rain fell outside. At some point, between the second helping and the third, Emeka looked at her and said, "I'm so glad I didn't lose you." Just that, quietly, not dramatically. And Adaeze put down her fork and looked at this man, this same man who had disappointed her and scared her and made her question everything. And she thought, yes, I am glad too. She reached across the table and held his hand. They sat like that for a long time, not talking, just holding on. In the marriage they had almost let go of. In the kitchen in East London where cold food had once sat on a counter as a symbol of loneliness. Now the kitchen smelled like egusi and warmth and something that could only be described as a marriage choosing to leave. Emeka and Adaeze are 34 and 32 now. They have a daughter, Amara, who is 8 months old and has her father's eyes and her mother's stubborn bottom lip. They are still in London, still working, still in therapy. Not because they are in crisis, but because they have learned that maintenance is not weakness. Servicing the car doesn't mean the car is broken. It means you love it enough to keep it running well. They have a different marriage now than the one they almost lost. It is a marriage built on honesty rather than assumption, on presence rather than provision alone, on the understanding that love is not just a feeling, it is a daily practice. Are they perfect? Not even close. Emeka still sometimes works too late. Adaeze still sometimes retreats into herself when she's hurt before saying anything. They argue. They frustrate each other. Life is not a perfect movie. But the difference is that when things go wrong now, they don't drift. They turn towards each other instead of away. That is the thing they learned. That is the thing they wish someone had told them when they stepped off that plane in January. Cold and hopeful, carrying their suitcases and their whole futures. That the world you move to will try to reshape you. It will offer you new ways of thinking, new ways of being, new definitions of success and freedom and love. Some of those offerings are good. Some of them are poison dressed in pretty packaging. The work, the real work, is learning to tell the difference. Before we end, let us sit with what this story is trying to say. The first lesson, the community you leave behind was holding you together in ways you didn't realize. When you move abroad, you must intentionally rebuild that community. Find your people. Find your church, your fellowship, your group of honest friends who will call you to be better. Isolation is the enemy of a healthy marriage. The second lesson, ambition is good. But ambition that comes at the cost of your marriage is just expensive selfishness dressed up as dedication. No promotion, no salary, no external achievement is worth coming home to a stranger. The third lesson, the values you grew up with are not all wrong. Some of them, commitment, service, sacrifice, community, are the very things Western culture is quietly starving for. Hold on to them. Be selective about what you replace them with. The fourth lesson, silence is not peace. It is just delayed pain. Say the difficult things early, honestly, and with love before they become the walls that separate you. The fifth lesson, seek help. Whether it is therapy, a trusted elder, a pastor, a counselor, do not try to rebuild alone what was broken together. Pride is not worth your marriage. The sixth lesson, the person you married is not your enemy. They are your teammate. When the world becomes difficult, you face it together, or the world wins. And the seventh, and perhaps the most important, love is not enough on its own. Love is the foundation, but a house built only on foundation and nothing else will still fall. You must add honesty, consistency, presence, communication, forgiveness, and the daily deliberate decision to choose each other, even on the days it doesn't feel easy, especially on those days. If you are in a hard season in your marriage, hear this. You're not the first couple to feel this way. You will not be the last. But the couples who make it, they are not the ones who had the easiest marriages. They are the ones who refused to quit when things got hard, the ones who got honest, the ones who asked for help, the ones who chose each other again and again, even when it was difficult. That can be you. It was Emeka and Adaeze, and they were ordinary people just like you. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. We read every single one. This has been Two Worlds, One Love. See you next time.